Welcome to CSI Investigation.org Incorporated. In this episode, we will see what happens to our muscles when they contract and also what happens to our muscles during rigor mortis.
Here's a live human. Let's see what happens when he contracts his muscles.
This is the sarcomere of a muscle, and today we will be showing you how these sarcomeres contract and how the muscles move.
First of all, two things are needed for our muscles to contract. This includes an action potential from the motor neurons and calcium in the sarcoplasmic reticulum.
An action potential travels down the motor neuron, which requires ATP, and neurotransmitters travel across the synapse junction and is received by receptors on the sarcolemma.
After this, the action potential travels along the sarcolemma until it enters the T-tubule. Once it enters the T-tubule, it triggers the sarcoplasmic reticulum to the release of calcium ions. There's the release of the calcium ion. See that?
Once this calcium is released, it travels to the actin and binds to the troponin. This allows the tropomyosin to create space for the myosin heads.
After the tropomyosin is moved out of the way, ATP comes in and puts the myosin heads into a high configuration state. This allows the myosin to attach and bind to the actin.
After this, the myosin heads go back to a low energy configuration through the process of a power stroke. This process does not use ATP. This power stroke motion is what is contracting the muscle.
Next, the cross bridge that was formed from the myosin heads binding to the actin sites needs to be broken. This process of breaking the cross bridge between the myosin and actin uses ATP. After the cross bridge is broken, the muscle becomes relaxed and the process is ready to begin again.
Now that we've seen what happens to the muscles when a living person contracts them, let's see what happens to the muscles when a person is deceased.
Dude, don't kill me.
Now he's deceased. Let's check back in 4 hours to see what has happened.
A few moments later.
Oh my gosh, rigor mortis is set in. Let's take a closer look at his muscles.
After a person has died, the body can no longer produce ATP normally. This causes the calcium to leak out of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. This is the first step in rigor mortis.
The calcium binds to the troponin, which causes the tropomyosin to expose the binding sites on the actin.
Since there is just enough leftover ATP in the muscles, the myosin heads are brought to high configuration and then bind to the active sites on the actin.
Next, the power stroke occurs and the myosin goes back to low energy configuration. At this point, the cross bridge would be broken. However, since the body is deceased, there is no more ATP to break the bond between the binding site and the myosin head.
Because there's no ATP, the muscles stay contracted and rigor mortis sets in.
After 72 hours, bacteria has eaten away the myosin heads, ending the cross bridge and stopping rigor mortis.